Melinda. I'm the customer service manager at Be Invested, and currently my husband and I are we have 20 properties. I love it now, but when I first started, I only saw properties as a vehicle to my financial security in the future. It didn't matter what it was initially when I started my journey. However, now being around the team that I work with, being around other investors have made me realise this is something that is secure. It is something that, you know, it's not like the share market where I've put money aside for my kids when they were first born. I don't have much to show for it now, so I've actually stopped doing that. We're investing in more property so that when we're not here tomorrow or whenever the day will be, what we have now in our portfolio will be passed on to our kids for their future. The reason I invest is because I need to take control of my future. When I was growing up, mum and dad, one of the things they taught us was that buy your home, pay it off, then you're debt free. That's what you need to do. And that was something I wanted to do, to be like mum and dad. But as they got older, their home is paid off, which is amazing, but they're living off the pension and there's not much there that they're living day to day with. Now, you know, they're at their golden age where they should be travelling, where they should have enough income, they could do whatever they want. They can't. So I looked at that and I just thought, you know what, this is not where I want to be, because by the time I retire, there might be no pension for us. If I paid off my home, I still got bills and debts to pay. I want to live life once I've retired. I want to have choices. I don't want to be a burden on my kids. So that's why we started investing, so that we can take control of our future. And now that we have invested, I want to inspire my kids to want to do the same. My property investing journey has taught me a lot. Me personally, as a person, what I can and can't achieve, and the fact that I can actually do more than what I initially thought. The property journey itself has been very scary, especially at the beginning, because when we first started our journey, we had one property we bought 10 years ago. It's doing amazingly, it's positive cash flow, it's got heaps of equity. That's all I know. Whereas once we started our journey, you know, we were buying very quickly. You know, the first purchase we made, we bought 2. Then before that even settled, we bought 3 more. And before that even settled, we went and bought 4 more. And before that, you know, I think the first 2 settled, then we bought our 10th one. So everything happened so fast within that 3 months that we didn't know what was going on, but all we knew was, you know what, we have 10 years to catch up on, and we caught up. However, one thing I learned is the fact that we did build it very quickly, which is very different to a lot of investors. So things that might happen within the actual property itself, such as the hot water breaking down, or tenants not paying rent, or changing the carpet, these are the things that is also condensed into a shorter time frame. And for me, it was really scary when things were happening very quickly. But one of the things I learned is that I need to look at the bigger picture. Growing a portfolio is not about a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not buying 10 properties in 3 months, then okay, I can click a finger and I can retire tomorrow because I've done it. I haven't done it. I've only started my journey. So that's something I've got to realise, and that's something I've realised that, you know, when the hot water break, today, yes, it's going to cost me $1,500 to fix, but the next time that's going to break, it's going to be another 7 to 10 years from now. So that's $150 a year that I'm forking out right now. So in the long term, I had to look at bigger picture, and that's something that's taught me, instead of focusing on what's happening today or the last 3 months, look at the next 10 years from now or 20 years from now. These properties is what's going to get me to financial freedom. OnePath, Zinger, Zenith, Blink, they're all part of my portfolio journey that's helped us get to where we are today. You know, I'm good at what I do. I go to work every day. I earn what I need to earn so that I can keep servicing my portfolio. But these are the experts that know what they're doing. So I delegate. Even though we have 20 properties, we're not at the point where we can retire, because for my husband and I, we are still very early in our journey. We're only 3 years into it. Now, with any property portfolio, any investors, you know, with the property market, it takes on average, say 7 to 10 years for a cycle to happen. So wherever we are in our cycle, we're only 3 years into it. Now, I remember when we bought our 10th property, we actually started to interview our team. So we did everything the wrong way. We didn't interview our team first. But when we bought our 10th one, we interviewed an accountant, and he said to us, if you don't buy another one tomorrow, you guys will be okay if that's all you want to do for retirement. And that's 3 cycles from now. So in the next 7, 14, 21 years, the property price will triple. And that's where it's going to lead us to financial freedom. And during this time, of course, your rent will go up as well. So even like say today, some of our property might be a little bit negative. Some of our property will be very, very positive. So overall in our portfolio, our whole property portfolio looks after itself. We're not out of pocket for anything. But, 12 months from now, the rent's going to go up by $5 to $10. Another year from now, it'll keep going up, and that's where the cash flow, it's the cash flow that's going to get us to financial freedom. It's not the number of properties. You could have 100 properties if you're having shitty rents. It's not going to get you to financial freedom. So you've got to make sure your rent is always optimal, and that's what's going to get you to freedom. What is my long-term goal? Long-term goal. 3 years ago, it was to slowly quit work so I don't have to work anymore, and then I can go volunteer at the canteen at the school and do things for my kids. But since I started working with the boys, besides the fact that Nathan says we can't tell him where to go, I don't want to tell him where to go. I love being here, but I still want to be financially free. I still want to be where I can wake up tomorrow thinking, if I don't want to come to work, I don't have to, but I choose to come to work. I choose to be here. I choose to help people. I choose to be part of their journey so that they can tell their boss where to go. For me, being Exit the Matrix is doing something outside of the norm. It's not conforming to society. One of my biggest mistakes is that I worked at the bank before, and they tell me, negative gearing is the best way to go. I was very green, so I bought a negatively geared property, which didn't do anything for us. However, by doing something different, by following, what Nathan and Daniel are doing and growing our portfolio, that's doing something that's outside of the norm. And if any of you have watched me on Koshi has actually made me feel like I'm doing something wrong by having debt. Whereas, any of us investors that's here, there is good debt and there is bad debt. And when I first started my journey, I remember in my MAP session with Daniel, and he said to me, you can use this equity to help you build your portfolio. To me, it's like, oh my God, that's just money that's not mine. How can I do that? And he's like, but that's good debt. You're making it work for you so that you can utilize that to grow your portfolio. You know what? Didn't understand what he meant, didn't make sense to me, but I thought, you know what? This guy's done it. If he says it, maybe I should give it a go, and I did. But now it makes sense to me. It is good debt. I'm utilizing that to keep capitalizing on that and keep growing my portfolio. And now, all my properties are looking after itself. So I'm not doing what the normal people are doing. I'm not conforming to society. And you know what? I see the light at the end of the tunnel. I invest with Be Invested mainly when I first started my journey is because at that time Nathan has over 80 properties and Daniel had over 30. Now in my little short time frame, I don't know anyone more than 10 properties, and even then I don't really know them. I just read them in the magazine. Whereas these guys, they're in their 20s, they're in their 30s, and this is how much they own. Like, how do they do that? So for me, it's having the faith and it feeling comfortable with these guys who has done it and is still continue to do that. And since I've started working with the team, I can see that they care. When I first started, I just know that I'm a buyer, but being part of the customer service team and working with the boys and seeing that they care about each one of the client and wanting them to get them to the stage where the boys are at, whether it's at 80 properties or 10 properties or 20 properties, one of these days we're going to go to the beach and drink pina coladas with Nathan.